97. The Fourth Commandment explained. Then we all head quickly to the tables and consume our meal. This time there was no talking during the meal, but after the wine had been enjoyed, it began to get very lively in the company. Beside the table at which I was sitting with Cyrenius, Cornelius, Faustus and Julius, with my disciples, with Ebal, Jarrah, Kisjona, Philippold, with Uran, Helena, Mathael and his companions, with the angel Raphael and the boy Josso, a new table had been set up for our Persians. All the other guests that we already knew sat at tables which had been specially set up for them, according to how they, as we knew, belonged together in society. But everyone wondered at the pleasantly warm evening after such a terrible storm. And in particular, they wondered at the complete dryness of the ground, where only a few hours before, the water had been a few shoes high. Uran asked me what we would do about accommodation for the night for so many people. He was willing to take in as many as his tents would hold, but since we were dealing with the accommodation of several hundred, his tents would not be enough by far. I said, "Friend, Adam and his first descendants had neither tents nor huts nor houses comfortable for anything. The ground of the earth and a shady tree was their all, and they spent very many nights under the open sky and were healthy and strong. They did not even have a cover for their body. A wreath of fig leaves to cover their private parts was their entire clothing, and they all reached an age of several hundred years. But now people have discovered all sorts of comforts of life and have created many hundred thousands of paradises for a lost earthly one. And behold, now reaching the age of 100 has become a miracle. Look, the effeminacy of man is to blame, who distance themselves from the nature of this world, which has the designation in all things to bear the people and to feed them and to keep them strong and healthy. Therefore, my Uran, do not worry about shelter for all these many guests. The good and healthy ground will accommodate them all very well. Whoever is overcome by sleep can rest very well on a pillow of stone. If the stone beneath his head annoys him, then the person is no longer tired and too much in need of rest, and then he can stand up again and go to work. Soft beds make people soft and take away the necessary strength of their limbs, and a too long sleep weakens the soul and the muscles of the body. The nature of a person is like an infant whom nothing feeds as well as the mother's breast. And those children who received food from the breast of the strong mother for a long time, assuming that she is as healthy and unspoilt as Eve, become as strong as giants, and the battle with the lion will not tire them out. To the same extent, the nature of this earth is a true mother's breast for man. If they do not distance themselves from it through all sorts of unnecessary softeners. But once the people have distanced themselves from this great mother's breast and isolated themselves from her strong influence, then if they ever have to come to a breast that is rich in milk, they act in the same way as a grown man if he has to drink the milk from a mother. He is so disgusted he could throw up. What strengthened him as a child and fed him in the best way makes him sick and nauseous as an adult who has long grown away from his mother's breast. Now, man cannot always drink on his mother's breast to get strength and life for his muscles. But he should never distance himself too much from the breast of Mother Earth if he wants to become healthy, strong, and old in the body. Moses said, "Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long and healthy on the earth." With this, Moses not only described the biological father and mother, but just as well the earth and its constant life-giving power. Man should not turn his back on this, but instead keep it in high respect, and he will receive every blessing for that which Moses physically prophesied. The respect for the physical father and mother is good and necessary when the circumstances are according and seemly. But if what Moses prophesied is the word of God, then it must also have a general and uninterrupted effect like the sunlight. But if Moses' prophecy is only limited to the fact that only those who respect their parents have to maintain a long life and health on the earth, then things obviously look very bad for those who have often lost this in the cradle and were then brought up by strangers. How should they respect their true parents whom they have never known? Many children are often found on paths and streets. Cruel mothers have conceived them in their lust and thrown them out somewhere soon after their birth. Such foundlings are often taken in by some warm-hearted and compassionate person and looked after. They then owe all their love and respect to these people. Moses says nothing about such adoptive parents, instead only about really true parents. But now the well-brought-up foundling cannot possibly honour his true parents, because he firstly does not know them at all, and even if he did, he would secondly truly have no obligation before God or before all people to respect them, who conceived him through sinful lust and who, when he was born, immediately gave him over to death. But because such a person then, according to Moses, cannot possibly love and respect his true parents, would he then have no claim on Moses' prophecy? Oh, would this then be very pretty indeed, and would it be terrible as the word of God? And then there are parents who bring their children up in all things that can only be called bad. Already in the cradle, they plant a genuine satanic arrogance in them and teach them to be hard and insensitive to everyone. Such tiger parents teach their children at an early age to be cheeky, liars, and deceivers. Should Moses really have meant his commandment for such children who respect their vicious parents with all badness and evil because the parents want this from their children? What do the children of thieves, robbers, and murderers really owe their parents? They can only naturally honour their parents if they are the same as their parents to a very great degree, and do what their parents always do, like through theft, robbery and murder of foreign travellers? Can Moses' prophecy really apply effectively to such children as well? The only somewhat clear world reason must tell you that such a prophecy, along with the law of Moses, would be a scandal of the first category for all divine wisdom. How can God, the highly wise, give a law as a consequence of which even an angel in a fleshly body would have to owe love and all honour to parents who incarnated from the lowest hell? You see that Moses' law, seen from this point of view, would be the greatest and craziest nonsense. So on the one hand, it is clear and proven that everything that Moses said and decided is the pure word of God, and therefore can eternally hide no nonsense in itself. But on the other hand, if one examines and observes Moses' law in the old, familiar and foolish way, as it has been examined and observed so far, it must be the most obvious nonsense before the judge's seat of all better human reason. Wherein lies the reason, then, that the law of Moses, as it has been observed so far, must be nonsense, despite the purely divine origin? It lies in the powerful misunderstanding of what Moses showed, mainly with this law, the general parents of the great nature, namely the earth, as the created world for the human race as father, and its lap, from which countless children of all types and sort are born, as the true mother. These original parents should constantly be honoured and obeyed by man, and his back should never be turned to them in an effeminate way. Only then he will receive a long life in a healthy body, and also a true well-being. A diligent person can also learn from these old parents the most goodness, greatness and truth, and build a great ladder on which the original father Jacob saw the angels of heaven climbing up and down. Whoever seriously researches nature will force many blessings to come into the light for himself and for his brothers, for their well-being. Therefore, my dear Uran, do not be afraid if you have to spend a night in the lap of your old physical mother. Nothing bad will happen to you.